Welcome to the Heme Consults orientation video series. We are in video number 28. We're talking about the middle of the night, what to expect. Once I was a fellow and I got a page and I was so mad when the page came through. It was like Saturday night at 6 p.m. and I was like, I can't believe they're calling me. I think that was burnout, but I was kind of frustrated and mad. And my husband was like, but you expect them to call you, right? Because you're on call. Yeah, I wasn't very happy about that. But it is important to think about. It's like if you're on call, they're going to call you. And so you should prepare for it. And the question is, how do you prepare? So I want to talk to you about the middle of the night, what to expect, and just talk about strategies that help you manage off hours requests. So I think the first thing is just expect that you're going to be called. And it's a pleasant surprise if nobody calls you, but just have that as an expectation where you're like, somebody's going to call me. And when they call me, what am I going to do? Right? I'm going to pick up the phone and I'm going to answer politely and I'm going to see what the consult question is. But just expect that you're going to be called and have a plan so you won't be like me where you're just mad. Maybe you need a foot massage, maybe you need a break. Whatever it is, as you're going to bed, recognize that it's likely that someone's going to wake you up, and when it happens, it'll be okay. Hopefully you get a chance to catch up on sleep sooner rather than later, but just recognize that it's going to happen and then have a plan for when it happens. So you're just not mad and in a spiral of being annoyed, and that prevents you from actually going back to sleep if you could go back to sleep or doing something else productive with your time. Okay. You also got to have a plan for the trivial calls. What do I mean by the trivial calls? It's when there's a change of shift in the ER at 3 a.m. and they're like, oh, there's a great time to call hematology and tell them that we're going to be admitting the patient. And like, oh, I didn't want to know that. They were like, oh, but this happens invariably where it's just a call that didn't need to happen at 3 a.m., but it did. And that really can make you mad. In fact, it makes me mad just thinking about it. But have a plan. Have a plan. You're going to say, as you're going to bed, you're like, someone's going to call me at 3 a.m. and it's going to be silly. What are you going to tell them? Right. So if you have a plan to say, hey, I appreciate that you thought it was important to call me at 3 a.m., but I was sleeping. I would hope that in the future, maybe you could defer the call to about 7 a.m. When it's a time that the fellow is more likely to be awake. Or you might say, hey, we typically don't take a night shift, even though we're covering the pager. So when you wake me up, it prevents me from going back to sleep. And maybe they'll say, I'm so sorry, I didn't recognize. Or they'll say, I don't care, wake up. And then you'll be more mad. Just have a plan. Just have a plan. Okay. The next thing is ask them, why now? Like, why are you calling me at 2 a.m.? Like, I mean, don't ask it like, don't call me, but ask about what's making you the most concerned right now. Because you could have waited till the morning, but you said you got to call now, just so you can clarify the sense of urgency. And if there's a bit of nuance that you may be missing, especially if it's not clear to you why the call is coming in the middle of the night, you want to clarify that as well. The next thing is not to let fatigue guide your decision. Sometimes you're like, you want my bilirubin? Or yeah, have it. You really do want to wake up and answer the question, even though it's hard. But definitely don't let fatigue be the guide for whether you look in the record or not and make an informed decision. Get up and answer the question. And then when you come up with your plan, wake up the attending too. I mean, if it's a question for which the team was concerned enough that they called you in the middle of the night, then it's okay. It's fair game to call the attending with your plan and definitely run it by them. Many times the questions in the middle of the night are concerning questions like, should we use Indexanet Alpha? This patient is bleeding out like crazy. Can we give Novo 7? They just had a major thrombotic event. There are a lot of these questions that can come up at night. And some of them really are not worth waking somebody else up for, like, oh, the patient is now moving to bed 4. I didn't want to know that, but thanks for calling me. And I'm not going to wake my attending up to tell them that same thing. So you do have a little bit of leeway in judgment, but when in doubt, just call the attending. Like, we're on call for you. And so we want you to call us. So definitely call when you're in doubt. The next thing is think about, when do you need to go in the hospital? And this is a really kind of important question. When do I need to leave my bed and go into the hospital? And to be honest, there are very few reasons why you would need to. So before there was opportunities to look at blood film images online, you always came in to look at the blood film if there was concern for TTP. You always came in. Now, you do still need to look at the blood film, but you don't need to come in to do it. So do it from home digitally. And you can arrange for many things for the patient, including telephone consent, if plasma exchange is needed, without coming in the hospital. Sometimes when there's a patient with sickle cell and there's concern for acute stroke, or a patient with sickle cell where there's concern for acute chest syndrome, a physical exam can be helpful to make the determination as to whether you're going to go forward with an acute exchange or not. So those may be situations in which you might consider coming in. Definitely talk to the attending though, because they can help clarify whether coming in is needed or not. Don't go in the hospital without clarifying with the attending, because sometimes you may save yourself a trip to the hospital. For the most part, though, you probably will not need to wake up in the middle of the night and go in the hospital. Sometimes someone will call you and say, we need you to come see the patient right now. And there's the assumption that there's an overnight team that's in the hospital. They don't know that you're taking call from home. So it's just important to clarify, like, okay, what do you need me in the hospital for that I can't do for you over the phone? And just clarifying for them that you're not an in-house fellow. Anyway, so it's important to before you get up out of your bed to go in, just clarify with the attending that it's actually needed. Okay. Whatever happens overnight, document every interaction. Document every interaction. I mean, people are calling because they're worried or they're anxious, and sometimes, communication is missed. And so it's an opportunity for you to document what's going on for yourself so that your own voice is represented in the chart. This week, I'm inviting you to create a plan. Someone's going to call you. They're going to make you mad. There's a change of shift at 3 a.m. They're going to call you. What's your response going to be? You're probably going to be mad, but how are you going to manage that anger? Think about a plan before it happens so that you're ready for it. Wouldn't it be nice if every silly page just went away? Actually, what if people just didn't page overnight? What if there was a service that covered, and then we just wake up fully rested, ready for the day? I think the day will come, but it's not yet. I'll see you in the next video.